Avengers, where we end the whole saga knowing that Steve Rogers dies a virgin.
I mean, I would help him out with
No,
that.
no, yeah, I was about to say, there are probably men and women that would line up to fix that.
I would happily help him out with that, even though I'm not really into guys, but like.
Okay, you're taking one for the team.
Exactly.
Taking one for the
You know
team.
what?
It's for my country, man.
I'm not sure if it helps your cause.
For the world.
I'm not sure if it helps your cause, but this Friday is International Women's Day, Bryn, so you go for it. This Friday, find out how Bryn raises that money for his Kickstarter.
The worst part is there's a blooper that really supports that from when we did the Kickstarter video. Harley messed up a line and just went, fuck! And so I went, we're talking about rewards you get if you donate. And then I went, that's right. If you donate to this, you can fuck us. And he just put his makeup really high on me and my ears.
They pounded it so hard that yours fell off.
Oh yeah, it was weird.
Welcome everybody to tonight's podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we are truly trying to do self-harm because these next few episodes we are doing the road to endgame. There's nothing much I can say other than a heavy sigh, because it's much like the people who want to do watching the movies right after they already watched the road to Infinity War. Months later, now they got to do the road to endgame. It's just insane. Joining us today is the full cast. We've got J4 finally with us. Thank God, it was lonesome without him.
Aww.
This is where he says hello.
I'm stuffing my face.
Staying it unedited.
Hey, you gotta get that Kickstarter somehow.
Wait, what?
We gotta stop. You gotta have that help that Kickstarter somehow.
Thanks, man. I appreciate your dedication, but you really don't have to do that.
We got cosplay Jenemy.
Hey.
We got single dad.
What up?
We've got Mayan goddess.
What? Huh?
Yeah, there you go. Perfect for the
Oh,
party.
that's you.
And joining us tonight to help plug and launch help out with his Kickstarter, we got Bryn over here with High Mountain Studios.
Hello.
So we're gonna start things off by plugging this Kickstarter because Bryn, ladies and gentlemen, our fellow listeners, is doing a Kickstarter to do Spider-Man 4. Yes, as in the Sam Raimi series. I have so many questions, but Bryn, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about this movie, what you can tell us about it.
So it's a fan film that we're doing. It's nothing like huge and major, but a lot of people in the area got really interested when Harley and I sort of started tossing around the idea of making Spider-Man 4 as just a fan film. And we're following a lot of the stories and elements that Sam Raimi revealed about Spider-Man 4 after it was canceled. There's been a lot of storyboards that have leaked revealing plot points. We're following most of those. We've added some things as well because it was still in early development back when it got canned. And so we were just doing that. And now we're doing a Kickstarter because while we have most of the equipment to film it and everything, and we have a lot of craftspeople on it willing to donate their time, the main thing we need is materials for building sets and some costumes and a few things like that. So we just need a little bit of money basically to help us through. And then we're also putting a bunch of our own money as this is going on into making it as well.
What is the goal and how far are you at right now?
So in a few days, we reached almost $5,000 of our $10,000 goal, and we still have like 53 days left of the Kickstarter. So hopefully we're gonna make it. We need to make like $90 a day, or add like average to get there. But I have a feeling we can.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I would like to at least state on my half I donated a little bit. Later on, I'll donate more. Listeners of Geek Boots, hit up this man's Kickstarter, help him reach his goals for sure. I guess my biggest other question is legality-wise. Like, you're going off of Sam Raimi's movies. This is owned property essentially. So, legally wise, how are you getting around that?
So, as long as we don't make money off of it, it's the same thing with a lot of other fan films that are also based on owned properties, as all fan films really are. As long as no money is made off of it, and it's not based off a Paramount property, because they get really touchy about it more than almost any other studio, it's usually fine. We've made it very clear everywhere we're not making money off of it. So to help us a little bit, we've had a few people trying to help out that have tried to make it sound like we were making money, so that's been our biggest worry. But the fact that we were in like headlines on, if you Googled Spider-Man, then articles about us were the first thing to come up on the day or the weekend that Into the Spider-Verse came out on digital. So the fact we were outshining them in headlines on Google, and they definitely know we exist and they haven't shut us down yet, means we're probably clear. And if we get a cease and desist, then we stop the film and everyone gets their money back from the Kickstarter, basically.
So you're basically operating under the military principle of it's better to ask forgiveness than permission.
Exactly, yeah. That's what most fan films do, because as soon as they ask for permission, they get told, oh, you can't do that. But then there's been hundreds of fan films that have made way more money and actually then make money, which they could get sued over, actually, out there. So we just figured to go for it. We actually looked at Kickstarter. There've been a lot of successful Spider-Man fan films funded on there. So we figured they can't be too touchy about it. And yeah, we're just seeing, hoping for the best, fingers crossed.
I will say this, we already did get a comment from Antonio Fett, who's going to check you out and kind of post a flyer about your Kickstarter at his comic shop. So there is love out there.
Oh no!
I'm really hoping for that day where it was like those people who were trying to write a fan film for The Punisher and ended up catching the attention of Thomas Jane and some other actors.
Ron Perlman was in it. Yeah,
Ron Perlman. And they were like, we got some guys, we got some equipment if you want some help. And then they launched a short YouTube video called Dirty Laundry, in which Punisher is living out of his van and life around him is going on, and he just does one little thing to tip the hat, so to speak. So it was interesting. I'm hoping that's what ends up happening with your Kickstarter. You're already on Google, dude. That would be so freaking amazing if somebody from that whole entire shindig calls you and goes, hey, how would you feel if I came over?
Well, yeah, we actually did send a tweet, no reply, but we did tweet at Bruce Campbell because he does live one state over, and we'd happily pay for him to come down and do his cameo. But that's very unlikely to happen since he very much likes to work with professional people, like very professionals only, and we're basically just a bunch of people that have some experience but are just making a fan film for fun.
Sure, yeah. And Bruce Campbell can be really chill with his fans. He's always down to like do something crazy. If you catch him at CryptCons and those SpookCons and whatnot, Bruce Campbell has been known to say yes all the time to people who are like, can you officiate our wedding? Can you marry us? And he's like, yeah, sure, why the hell not? Like, so, but I've also known that he only likes.
I would if I was saying this.
Right?
Yep. So yeah, that's awesome. If you're listening to this podcast, please give this Kickstarter a big sending help. And let's hope this movie is everything it is out to be, because I know it will.
I do have one question about the fanfic though, the fan film. Since it is Spider-Man 4, will you 73 Delta 88?
What?
Will there be a 73 Delta 88? Just a nod to Raimi.
Oh, the car.
Yeah.
If we can find one, I'll happily put it in. But,
Ladies and gentlemen, they need another $25,000.
Somebody to donate a car for just a day.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've known people to do that.
That would be great.
Sure that people out there in the gram that know where you can find a yellow Delta 88.
Oh, definitely. That's a good idea. I'll look into that. That'd actually be really cool.
Yeah. Now that Single Dad has mentioned this, hopefully our listeners will be like, I know somebody, and that'll help out.
Yeah, it is kind of cool seeing both the cosplay community and the nerd community and the military community kind of help each other out. I will say that that is one thing that those communities share, is like if someone's got that passion, like a brother or sister will help you out.
Oh
Yeah.
We got you, if we can.
Because you know it's just going to be for a day. It's just to be in one
For
shot.
like 20 minutes.
One thing to add on to that for sure that I witnessed, there's a movie, and I hope this inspires you, Bryn. There was a movie made entirely out of nothing but veterans. They got help from certain actors like William Shatner and Sean Astin, who are huge advocates of the military. But they didn't like the way Hollywood wanted to run their zombie movie, so they did a Kickstarter campaign, and they filmed it their way. It is called Range 15.
Range 88.
I'm gonna have to look into that. That's awesome.
It's super B-rated, but it's amazing because everything is it's their beast, it's their animal, and they
So much military humor in there. Holy crap.
Yeah, and then on top of everything else, they also released the documentary of making the movie, and this is where I'm tapping into what Mayan just said. You will not see a fighting force that is driven like the military. They were so gung-ho to do it their way and to get it accomplished, and it worked, and it happened, and they rose a lot of money, and they donated a lot of money back to their communities. It was inspiring. That's what I'm really hoping to get out of this for you, because I love you, you're my brother, and I want to see you accomplish your goals.
I remember when they were doing that Kickstarter for Range 18, and they had certain tiers for certain people who were donating and everything like that. And obviously, they started with a much bigger budget, and they had a lot bigger production value and everything like that. But for X number of dollars they had certain actors that they could hire to be in the movie, even for just a minute.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh wow.
It was.
But those donating got certain proceeds back.
Yeah.
Which I know is the biggest thing with Kickstarter is, I mean, the whip 'em factor. What's in it for me?
Yeah, exactly.
So they want to donate, but they also want something back. It's like you get your name in the credit, or you get mentioned, or you get to be in the movie, or whatever.
Oh yeah, we have that all set up actually. So like right now, I think it's $5 get your name in the credits, and everything after that just kind of keeps stacking on top of itself. Goes all. I think the biggest donation we got was someone donated $2,500, and it got them a producer credit on it. And then the tier below that was for the first 3 people that donate $1,500 or more. We have to make several extra suits for Spider-Man in this, which relatively don't cost much since we're making all our own molds and everything for the urethane webbing and everything. And so we're giving away the 3 extra suits we have to make for it. For like, there's a battle damage one, there's a stunt suit where the weapon's going to be a little more durable. I'm trying to remember what the other one was. I think the other one, oh yeah, it's for the wire scenes, because we're going to have to do a few scenes with wire on green screen basically.
Oh.
So it just has a few holes in it to help with that.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a lot of other stuff in the tiers, like DVDs, digital downloads, T-shirts at one point. Yeah.
Dope.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about this for sure. Now on to talking about Phase 1 of Marvel. Anyway.
Fun fact, we are all about to reveal that we are ridiculous.
Strap yourselves in. It's gonna be a ride.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. I don't know what I'm doing.
What's in for it?
Yeah,
Make
right.
yourself.
Yeah, well, you know, it was remixed, so I won't get sued back into my father's balls for this.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted by your like protruding eye.
Oh, believe me, the thought of putting on Back in Black came on, and then I decided not to go with that.
Minor detail.
So we are now going to start with Cosplay Genemy. We are doing Phase 1, so essentially, why don't you go
First,
ahead?
I'd like to say the Hulk doesn't exist in my mind.
Yes.
Anyone gonna argue with me on that?
We could spend some time
What
on
was
that.
that?
Not necessarily on preference, but why?
I mean, realistically, with that movie, though, like,
Yeah.
the ending was pretty much the only reason why it tied into it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
That and Thunderbolt Ross, only things that at all tie in.
I mean, that was proof that, though, I mean, not to jump or anything, but it was proof that Marvel Studios was very much still trying to, like, get their formula down, get their feet in the sand, because they were fairly new when that came out.
Oh yeah.
And so it was like, yeah, it showed.
They
Anyway.
did.
Yeah, it showed.
And it was
I like
better.
that.
It was better than the Hulk movie they did before it. That's for sure.
Oh, well, was that the Ang Lee one?
Big fat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, I was so surprised that Ang Lee was the director, because I'm looking at like all of Ang Lee's other stuff and I'm going, her?
Anyway.
Favorite movie from Phase 1, favorite scene, character, and why, and where and what you were doing at the time when the movie came out.
Okay, so when the first phase came out, I was kind of anti superhero movies at the time because I'd gotten burnt out on the Spider-Man reboots. I was kind of annoyed with the whole situation, and I was like, I'm done with superhero movies forever. Worked out.
Which is hilariously awkward because we just got done plugging a Spider-Man Kickstarter.
No, don't get me wrong. Spider-Man was like
And Bryn's over there going,
my original favorite superhero of all time. So the first movie that came out, I was so excited.
Uh-huh.
And then Spider-Man 3 came out.
We don't talk about that movie.
Yeah.
yeah.
Recently, it was actually.
I
that
did
place-
appreciate the fact that Marvel Studios were bright enough to make fun of themselves. Spoiler alert. Of that
Yes!
scene in Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, that was amazing.
The fact that they're like, yeah, that it was a phase. It was weird. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
They
That was
poked
great.
fun at themselves. That made me happy.
So fast. Swinging back around. Bloopers over. Back to
Face color back.
back to Jenemy. As you were saying, favorite scene, character, and why, and where you were and what you were doing at the time, how excited you were.
Okay, so since I was pretty much on a boycott mode until probably the very first Avengers movie. So I didn't have any where was I at the moment when those came out other than trying to hide from them.
You were going through your emo phase.
I was going through my emo phase.
Superhero edition.
Eventually, when I watched them,
Yes.
Captain America was definitely my favorite.
Why?
Other than the fact he's hot.
Yes.
No, I like
Oh.
the fact that he was a Boy Scout from the beginning and that he was this character who was a hero, even though they told him he couldn't be, prior to the fact he got superpowers.
Right.
So being, military and him wanting to be military, like that whole beginning was like, oh, I felt the feels of wanting to be and being told you can't, even though I still went in, but
Right.
yes, I love Captain America for his Boy Scout nature, his ability to want to be a part of something greater than himself without ever having the ability to. I think he was always a hero from the beginning. He's definitely that mentality of a hero. He just became a superhero.
Sure. Now, were you in the military at the time? Did you watch this in a on-post theater? What was your experience?
No, I actually saw it at home, and I was already out of the military by the time I watched it. The only movie that came out while I was still active duty was the very first.
Oh, and you were already boycotting.
Yeah.
Well, don't be a-
I saw Spider-Man in the theater when I was in the military. Spider-Man,
Well, we're not talking about that shit.
It's
because I'm old.
You're
Speaking of old, let's turn to J4. He's giving.
I don't even have to flip you off. It's implied.
All right, J4.
All right, what's the questions again?
Okay. So, impact, the favorite movie of Phase 1, favorite scene, favorite character and why and where and what you were doing at the time when this movie came
Oh, easy. Ironman 1. The first one. The movie that started it all. I love that movie. My favorite scene from that one is probably the one where Jensen dies, and right before he dies, he smacks and says, "Don't waste your life."
Yeah.
And then he's gone. He's like, "I'm going home to be with my family. Don't waste your life." But yeah, I was brand new in the military when the movie came out. I was in tech school in Mississippi. I never want to go back there. But yeah, it was also another thing that was kind of special for me. It was like the opening scene of that movie. He's in a Humvee with 3 airmen. And he calls them soldiers at first, and the woman driving the Humvee pipes up and says, "We're airmen." And that was back when I was bleeding blue like no other, so, because I was brand new. So it kind of stuck with me.
That's what's up. So did you watch this on a on-post theater?
Oh, dear God, no. No, we went and saw it opening weekend, and it hadn't quite made it to the base yet. And we had just made it to phase 2 of tech school. So for those of you that don't know how Air Force tech school works, when you first get there, you're in phase 1. So you're like just out of basic training, you have a curfew. You have to be in the dorms back at 10 o'clock each night. Anytime you leave the dorm building, you have to be in uniform. And if you want to go off base, you have to be in your dress blues. So me and like all my buddies are in this theater in downtown D'Iberville, Mississippi, in our freaking dress blues watching this movie. And that memory sticks out.
See, this is the other difference.
Most uncomfortable I've ever been watching a movie.
This, not to get too sidetracked, but this is another thing about the difference between the branches that sometimes irks me. You got to go off post during your job training. Not me. I didn't get to go anywhere except to be on post. Bastard.
That's fair.
Yeah, well, my first job training was also 8 months long.
Oh.
Yeah. Hey.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, you gotta admit, like, if you look at, like,
There's the ruler over
case in
there.
point, Captain Marvel, they just had their premiere, and they invited the Air Force out, and they were in uniform, and they were in the theater in uniform, and I'm sure that was pretty exciting for them. So, yeah, I can see why that's exciting for you.
Oh, absolutely.
That's pretty fucking dope. Yeah, that's pretty fucking dope. All right, now turning to Single Dad.
What's up?
You know what's up.
I do know what's up. All right, so going back. Okay, MCU Phase 1. Obviously, when this whole thing first came out, nobody knew where it was going to go. Nobody knew what was going to happen. There was a lot of rumors, there was a lot of speculation and everything like that as to what these movies were going to do. But once they started tying them in together, I think that changed a lot of Hollywood dynamics, which is awesome. But favorite movie of Phase 1, it's definitely going to be Captain America. Sorry, it's Cap. He's the man. Everything like that. Now, favorite scene, I've got to go with in Thor, when he's going to go retrieve his hammer, and you've got basically Hawkeye up in the roost and everything like that, and you get the first vision of Hawkeye, just sitting up there, and I mean he grabs his bow and everything. That floored me. I remember that to this day, and that was like, holy crap! They're actually taking minor characters from the comic books and they're interjecting them into what is turning out to be one of the biggest franchises in cinematic history. So that was a really big deal for me. Another really big thing for me was one of my favorite scenes is in Iron Man, Agent Coulson trying to explain. Thanks, sweetheart. Trying to explain what SHIELD means, the entire acronym. He's explaining it to Pepper Potts. He's like, SHIELD. And as a member of the military, we get that all the time because that's what we do. We speak in acronyms.
Yeah.
I really do. The 6 stages of development. You got your BAMSIS. I mean, FUBAR. We literally, and we can talk to each other without ever saying words and just use acronyms. So when they brought that in together, said SHIELD, it's like, just say SHIELD. That was awesome. Absolutely love that.
Bohica.
Say again?
Bohica.
Sorry, I missed that last part.
Bohica? Bohica?
Bohica? Oh, yeah.
Very
FUBAR and Tarfu?
That's my favorite one, just because.
Yeah,
there you go.
Snafu is mine. I love Snafu.
Thank you.
Continue, Single Dad.
So what were the other parts of it? I got
Where were you when the movies came out? Like, because I'm hoping you were in the military at the time when they came out.
So I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. When Iron Man came out, and that was the first of Phase 1 and everything like that, I actually got to see it on opening weekend in a private theater with just me and 2 and 3 other friends, because at the time I was at a duty station where I had to sign non-disclosure agreements to say that I wasn't there at the time. But let's just say the guy I was working for lives in Texas, and he's kind of awesome.
Oh, whoa, really?
Yeah,
Damn.
that's where I was at the time. And the weekend that it came out, he decided not to visit us, so we had his private theater to ourselves. And so we had the movie there and said, screw it, let's watch it.
Nice.
So.
Holy shit biscuits, motherfucker. Lucky dog. Damn, dude.
New things about.
That's why I like him. That's why I keep him around.
Yep.
Thanks, Dad.
All the other cosplayers make me feel like I'm ancient. I keep him around.
Thank you.
So
you're number 1 in my book,
I'm
too.
glad you brought up the Hawkeye. I'm glad you brought up that Hawkeye cameo in Thor 1. Do you know that he went uncredited in that cameo?
Right?
What?
Right? I remember watching him and seeing him and then looking at the credits going, so who played him? I don't understand. What's going on here?
I haven't started your time yet.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner went uncredited in that cameo of Hawkeye.
Wow.
That's crazy. I wonder.
I'm just a little bit of a Hawkeye MCU nerd.
Yeah, oh, gee,
I
the
like
guy
Hawkeye.
who cosplays Hawkeye is a Hawkeye nerd. You never would have thought.
I always liked Hawkeye. So
I blame one of our mutual friends.
Yes, so do I. You put us both in that vest.
I mean, I do gotta say the whole romance thing though that they left out from comic books to movies with Hawkeye kind of pissed me off, but that's okay. That's for future. That's for future things.
Yeah.
Well,
I
now
would love a Hawkeye Deadpool movie.
let's make it happen, Jake. We got Bryn here. Let's make a Kickstarter and make this happen.
Yeah.
Speaking
That
of
would be
Bryn,
hilarious.
we're now going to spin it to
Hawkeye.
this young man. Bryn, why don't you tell us about your experiences?
With the movies?
Yes, with
Alright,
the movies.
So,
No, we're just going to have you come onto the show, plug your Kickstarter, and then sit there silently while the rest of us talk.
Yeah,
I mean,
we just
we
want
have
to
our moments, but we're not that mean.
Alright, so yeah, my favorite one of them is also Captain America of Phase 1. I just really enjoy it. I still really enjoy that one. As a kid, it was probably Thor when they first came out. Thor was probably my favorite just because it was very easy to get humor for a kid. But yeah, no, Captain America is just great. Sorry, what are the other questions?
So favorite scene,
As a kid.
where and what you were doing at the time when the movie came out.
So favorite scene. Honestly, honestly, like of that movie, probably my favorite scene is like it's kind of two scenes mixed together, but it's him crashing the plane because that scene was really dramatic, and even when I was like, I was pretty young when that movie came out, but like I got it, and then him waking up in a new time, that was really cool to see. I really loved that. So yeah.
Out of curiosity, how old were you when?
12.
I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this.
Nope.
I'm actually sincerely curious.
I think I was like 12 actually. Yeah.
Holy shit!
I'm
It was
20.
on my duty station.
No.
I'm 20 now, so it's yeah.
I had 2 kids by the time Captain America came out.
Wait, I'm really hoping that's 2 different people, because if you had 2 kids by the time you were 12, that's wrong.
I missed my ass, but still. Holy crap!
I Captain America and Thor were probably the only ones of Phase 1 I saw in theaters because I lived up in Eastern Washington where there was like not a theater for like a 2-hour drive.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, I didn't see them. I honestly didn't even think I saw Iron Man until after I saw Iron Man 2, because because we had a library with a DVD system that was our only way to get movies, but they were really weird in which ones they got.
Oh, that must have made things really confusing because there's probably some like plot lines that you were going.
A little bit, but like as a kid, I was mostly just there to see a guy in a shiny suit beat up a guy in another creepier looking suit.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I was gonna say, let's be honest. When you're 12 years old, you're just watching, these shiny men beat each other up.
Oh yeah.
I do remember at 12 when I
And
watched the movie Off Base for the first time and realized that you didn't stand up for the national anthem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, everybody stand.
Oh, wait.
Why are we not doing this?
So for our civilian listeners, if you watch a movie on a military installation, before the movie actually starts, after the credits, they play the national anthem, and everyone stands up.
You are on post, so you're by regulation, whether you're in civilian. Actually, furthermore, if you're in civilians, you just have to stand. But if you're in uniform, you have to salute while the national anthem is going on, while it's opening.
Now, hold on. Different on Navy
So,
installation.
put your hand over your heart.
Salute indoors. So.
What's that?
If you were in a ceremony, you had to salute. But yeah, if you were in civilian attire, you had to like stand at attention because you didn't have your cover on.
Yep.
Hand over her.
Yep. Good stuff. Those were fun experiences. Ian, you are up next. Thank you for sharing, Bryn.
Are you kidding?
What?
I'm about to go watch Captain Marvel and do the same here in a couple of days and do the same thing again. So.
Oh.
Because I'm still here. Still.
That's
Still
true.
doing this thing.
Kudos to you. You're awesome.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say?
Yeah.
Words.
Words. You're gonna put
So
sentences
close to
together.
leaving.
Wait, is that how you talk? I never knew. I just went.
No, I just
and
make
then it worked.
sounds.
Let's see. So for me,
I mean, you're not wrong.
None of us are. It's the beautiful thing about it.
what was it? So for me, when Iron Man came out, it was right before I went into the Marine Corps. It was like 2008. So yeah, I was like my senior in high school. But yeah, for me, I gotta kind of go with the general consensus and say Captain America was my favorite out of those. Particularly because when it came out, I was at my first duty station in Paris Island as a musician. And that scene where he's like, where they're like, yeah, we're gonna get him to do all these great things, and then he goes out for the USO thing. Like, that was me to a T. So, like, and I was sitting there watching with like all of my Marine musician buddies, and he like pops out and like dances on stage basically, or like has everybody dancing around him. We're like, that's fucking us! Oh my god! Like, holy crap! And so like the rest of the movie where he gets to break out of that and get to do like the real stuff, it was like our dream. We were like, oh my god, we get to like grab our own weapons and like kick ass and stuff, and then like end up on cards and stuff. That's amazing. Like that was like my pinnacle, my dream man, and it helped that he had like the most amazing pack.
And then you woke up from your dream, grabbed your trombone, and went back.
Pretty much. So yeah, that for me was.
Then the movie ended.
Yeah, then the movie ended, and you're like, oh.
I'm still me.
Yeah, but it was nice, like that. Like I could relate to Captain America in that sense, and so it almost made it seem like we could be those heroes too. Which this was well before I got way into cosplay and realized that's actually kind of possible. But yeah, that was kind of like the stepping stone for me.
Dope. I guess it's my turn, huh?
Yep. Do you remember the question?
This whole time.
Nope. Skipping you.
Yep, skipping me. The guy who hosts this whole entire thing and brought you all together.
Yeah, we don't need to
whatever. Yeah, we don't need to hear me.
We're over you.
Bye. Click.
We got Brit now. It's okay.
It is the mucus that binds us.
Right. So yeah, the movies are kind of what started me on the path and trend to even do comic books. I mean, I had always loved Wolverine, but that's because I watched the 90s cartoon shows. But you know, I was like, Iron Man's so cool. That's fucking dope. Like, it's so difficult to try and pick a favorite scene. Favorite movie, though, I gotta go as well with Captain America: First Avenger. And the reason why I voted is because, in all honesty, I feel like he was kind of the pinnacle of looking at myself, my inner ambitions to do good. My dad, when he was in the Army during Vietnam, and my grandpa during the Coast Guard in World War II, I kind of felt like it was just embodied my patriotism and my love for not just my country, but my fellow country people, and just wanting to stand up for people who don't have anybody standing up for them, essentially. You know, I could do this all day, and he picks up a trash can lid. I'm just like, that. I don't know if I could, but I would love to be this guy. Like, are you kidding me? And then I thought it was really hilarious because YouTube was still getting its feet up underneath itself, and someone made this really hilarious funny video about Captain America just before we went out to see the movie, and my dad and I cracked a chuckle on it, and it kind of left a mark when he becomes super, because they do it and they go, by the way, this is what happens to you, and they point at a diaphragm, and he goes, all of your muscles will get big and strong, and your penis will become tiny. All right, are you ready to go? Are you ready to do this? And so the guy goes, well, wait, time out, hold on. What's gonna happen? And he goes, what? And he goes, what's gonna happen to me? Are you saying this? He goes, yes. And he goes, and we're doing this. Yes. And he's just like, what the hell? And he goes, can we flip it? Can we reverse it? Can we make my junk really huge and everything else tiny? He goes, no. And it's just like, what the hell? They trap him inside. he goes all super. Everyone's like, oh my god, muscles. Then they do the Peggy scene. They touch his muscles, like, ooh. But in the second his drawers drop, everybody in the room, even the freaking Hydra spy, everybody in the room sees his tiny little penis, and they all just start bursting into laughter. And then he kicks down the door in the famous scene where they're all breaking into the barn shooting. And everyone notices, even though he's got pants on, and they start pointing and laughing at him because he's got a tiny penis. He takes the shield and he hides himself, and then just kind of exits stage left.
Well,
So-
you know, he's never used it, so.
So, yeah, he's the 90-year-old virgin.
It-
So
You know,
those
if
two
it's any
scenes,
consolation, personality does mean a lot.
so,
There's
Those-
always a chance.
so with those two scenes, my dad and I ended up awkwardly bursting up into laughter in the theater because we're sitting here and we're thinking about a tiny penis and steroids, and we're just start laughing, and people are looking at us like, that scene's not funny, that scene's heroic, and we're like, sorry, it's just, you had to be there, like, but another favorite scene I really thoroughly enjoyed just because of how badass it was in Iron Man 1, where, Tony Stark's sitting there, he's been hit by the tank, and the tank fires again. He dodges it, right? Huge blast. You see the giant round go flying by him. He shoots this little round at the tank, and it explodes into a million pieces, and he walks off. Barely even any noise to it, and you just hear the ding, and then, and I thought it was interesting about that, and sad about that was, in the trailer,
I'm not gonna lie.
Iron Man by Black Sabbath was playing in the trailer on that scene. So in the movie when it doesn't play, I was a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. It's like bullshit. Wait until the credits come on, then you want to play it? Bullshit. But I hadn't joined the army yet. I wasn't in just yet, so that was kind of my whole thing. I didn't hit it until episode 2 when we start talking about the Avengers. So I'll save those stories, obviously. But yeah, I was my parents were big on going to the movies every Friday night, every Saturday night. So every premiere night we went and saw these movies, and it was a lot of fun.
I
That's
I will
adorable.
say this. Yeah, that's really sweet.
Aww.
Well, no, because it's nice because sometimes, like, I mean, not everybody gets to have that family bonding where it's like everybody's into Marvel, everybody's into comics. Like, I didn't have that. So, like, the fact that you had that, that's awesome.
And
That's freaking awesome.
it wasn't even just the fact that they were big on movies. It was all credit goes to the producing of these movies because they saw the trailers and my dad and my stepmom looked at each other like, well, that looks like it would be fun to take the kids to go see. You want to go see that movie? Yeah, sure, why not? So, yeah, that was essentially how it always goes down. How it always had gone down with those movies. It's just a movie night. And we lived in a small town in Marysville. And the Friday night thing to do, if there wasn't a movie out, we would go to Blockbuster when Blockbuster was there. Like, and now we can't. I'm sad.
I was so tempted to be a dick and just say, "What's a blockbuster?"
Yes. So young.
Vern, I'm gonna stab you next week.
Oh no! I actually remember Blockbuster was like my favorite place as a kid. I got so pissed when they got rid of it.
Right?
Yeah.
Kids today will never experience the
They're
going
actually
out with family.
one just closed in Texas like last year, the very last one.
There's actually
Yeah,
one
they
left.
closed.
Is
There's
it still the one left? The
I
one
think
in
they're in
Oregon.
Alaska.
the last one's in oh wait, there's one in Alaska?
There were. I think there
You
was like.
could say Portland.
Or-
Portland? There's one in Portland?
Yeah, it's in Oregon. It
Y'all,
might be a little way out of Portland, but it's
Party of
Yo.
at the Oregon Blockbusters. Let's
Yes.
go.
Rose
Let's
City
go.
Comic Rose
Let's do
City
this.
Comic Con, we're not doing the after parties. We're taking a trip. We're gonna go find this Blockbuster all dressed up and take photos with it. That's what we're doing. Rose City Comic
and they
Con.
get like current movies and everything too on DVD. It's
And when the last one finally closes, you can lightly hear taps in the background.
don't know if you guys saw it because I posted that meme to my story the other day about how I went to the bar the other night and they asked me for my ID. I pulled out my wallet, my Blockbuster card fell out. The bartender started to laugh and says, "Never mind, you're good."
That's
Never mind, you're good.
I do also want to say this. Even it's a little sneak peek because Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't come out for a bit. But when Jake said that he was in Mississippi for a while, all I could think about was Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec. KISSISSIPPI, and then the little comment on the bottom going, "I'm glad he's the guardian of our galaxy."
Oh my gosh. So we just got a comment saying, in regards to Blockbuster dying, we can do the 21 VHS rewind salute.
Yes.
High-pitched buzzing noises.
Yes. Yes.
Be kind.
See,
Rewind.
Yes!
I was
Oh my
spoiled.
god, I remember the signs.
Our VHS player automatically rewound the movie.
Mine did too. I loved it.
Oh, you
Aren't
classy
you
boys,
guys
whatever.
Well, those are like the expensive
Oh,
ones.
don't act like you know
Terry
what
Pratt.
VHS player is.
And kids these days get it when you're standing at Redbox and you ask them if they rewound it.
I'm
You're
gonna do
just
that now.
Wait, what? What's rewind? Are you kidding?
What?
Dude,
What does that mean?
This is where it's hilarious because then
Oh.
people don't realize that they can rewind Blu-ray.
Could you imagine the confusion on their face when you ask them if they listened to the B side of that tape?
Oh man.
You need to take screenshots of this. That button right there.
Anyway, with our last 5 minutes, let's turn back it all around and continue to talk about Brent, your Kickstarter campaign. Continue to plug it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Please donate. Brent, why don't you remind them after all of this banter of phase one what is going on with your Kickstarter?
So yeah, a bunch of cosplayers, amateur filmmakers, and some people with that, like some professional film experience are all working together. We're making just completely out of our pockets, and then with the Kickstarter to help us out, a Spider-Man 4 fan film based off of the story that Sam Raimi's doing. You can find out more at High Mountain Studios. We have an Instagram, we have a Facebook, and then also we have Spider-Man 4 fan film, just all one word, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well. If you search Spider on Kickstarter, it's the very first thing to come up. So yeah, just doing our best to make it as good as we can. Really excited. I actually, as this was going on, I was getting I can't show it because it's still rough, but I was getting some video clips sent from our new CGI guy of Spider-Man swinging, and it looks good. Like there's some graphics glitches, and it's a little rough in some areas, but like it looks really good. I'm really excited to put it out there.
Yay.
Awesome.
Now, furthermore, when do you guys actually officially start filming?
Possibly at the end of this month, because like I said, we've been putting a lot of our own money into it as well, and there's a lot of scenes that are just rooftops, and we know a lot of places with rooftops we can film on without problems.
Sure.
And so what we did, so the Spider-Man suit itself, the cloth suit actually last night shipped out. The face shell, I believe, shipped out last night. The night before this, the emblem suit shipped out. And then Billy the Brick has been helping me figure out how to make the urethane webbing, and it's all figured out now. So now I just have to actually go and buy the stuff and make it really quick. So yeah, it's as soon as that's done, we have a few scenes to film. 1337 Mando is making her own Black Cat costume for it, and that's going to be ready hopefully before too long. And then there's some scenes with her and Spider-Man we're going to film. There's some scenes with Vulture back when he's just Adrian Toomes that we're going to film. Yeah.
Yay.
Nice.
Like
Very
officially though, filming for the bigger stuff begins in like July 2020, or not July 2019. It comes out hopefully July 2020 because we need like a year to film and edit everything.
I was just about to ask, when is the release date? We will definitely have your cast members on episodes throughout the time to help plug the movie, to help people, go out and check this movie out and whatnot, because I want to do that too. That's going to be awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to the listeners, remember his Kickstarter, and we are doing the Road to Endgame. All these episodes are a combination of talking about the movies that line up all the way till Endgame. And hopefully, because we got a certain somebody who lives in another country currently, who is overseas, we will be able to do a spoiler-free and then complete spoiler review of Endgame. I guess while we got a couple extra minutes, does anybody want to give, and this is open to anybody want to give a theory about what's going to happen with Endgame and then after Endgame?
So I think, well, considering that there's another Guardians of the Galaxy and another Black Panther movie in the works, there's going to be something that kind of brings him back. I know definitely Spider-Man. So it like there's definitely going to be something that kind of brings them back. We just got to figure out how. And I think it's definitely going to have to do with the Soul Stone. There have been theories about that have been kind of like, but it is going to be exciting to kind of see that happen. So I've got my ears open, eyes open, and I'm really looking forward to how they come out with that.
Can we just take Mayan Goddess's sound effects and turn them into ringtones? That stuff, yeah, perfect.
Tying thing last week because they were Mayan and Cosplay Genemy mentioned it last week about Captain Marvel, and I so wanted to talk about it last week, but I knew we had this week. But that's the thing. We already know that Ant-Man is trapped in the quantum realm. We also know that Captain Marvel has the ability to travel into the quantum realm. How's he getting back? How do you think? So I'm really excited to see how they tie all this together.
Good point.
I'm looking forward to seeing who steps up as the next Cap, whether it's going to be Bucky or it's going to be Falcon, because both are top contenders.
Especially because they played Captain America in the comic books first.
Yes.
So you know somebody's going to be stepping up as Cap. We just don't know who yet. I already know. I have one prediction that I know is going to happen. I'm going to cry like a little girl. Have no problems admitting that whatsoever. Because we're going to be losing essentially part of our family. Somebody that we've been attached to for the past almost over a decade. So people that we're attached to, and we love these characters, and we've pretty much all said that Captain America is our favorite movie of Phase 1. So,
I wonder if that military thing comes into that. I don't know.
Silence, you. No one wants to hear from Iron Man. Go back to betraying all your friends in Civil War.
Oh, man. One of the things that I will also keep in mind, there's been all the set pictures and stuff. There's time travel definitely involved in this, like 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be awesome. I really like how it should have ended this video on it, about where Ant-Man shows up at the door, and then Deadpool shows up, and then Blade shows up, and then Ghost Rider, and then basically every Marvel movie for the last, 50 years, the characters start showing up, like, I'm here to help, too!
So, I would like to make
comment
about that.
That just reminded me of the Power Rangers thing,
Shit.
where they brought, all of them from, forever, every single series. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
I have
I didn't know
actually
they did that.
a theory about all this, because you guys also got to keep in mind that the next phase of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they now own Fantastic Four and the X-Men franchise now.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this theory because Deadpool is getting a third movie, which is down the line. What if, in order to make all this happen, we use Cable and his time travel capabilities, because we always have to fucking do that with the X-Men. And he does something to get the mutant gene involved somehow. Maybe he messes up somehow, because in the comic books, the mutant gene is the oldest thing in Marvel's universe.
Well, they already have time travel with Captain Marvel, though, don't they?
Yeah.
Same thing with Doctor Strange.
True.
And they've already mentioned the time vortexes with Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yep. So I'm hopeful that that's how that ends up happening. Another thing to note is that I'm going to be slightly surprised, but at the end of the day, I'm not, because the only shock I had from Infinity War, spoiler alert if you're a crazy person who's never seen the movie, was who was going to get dusted.
Ketchup.
Ketchup. Right?
You had a year. Catch the fuck up.
Right. No, so yeah, I felt like, because I've already read the comic book series, it's like, yes, I acknowledge this is the cinematic universe. However, it's still based loosely off the comic books. And we've seen Adam.
Yeah.
We've seen him in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I'm just so curious if they're going to own up and do it loosely based off the comic books. In the comic book,
I don't think we'll see Adam until Guardians
there's
3,
there's a lot of heavy fights, but at the end of the day, Adam beats the fuck out of Thanos, and then essentially when Thanos isn't looking, Nebula steals the gauntlet from him and uses it to beat the shit out of Thanos and end it all. She drops it, Adam puts it on, and he uses the gauntlet to reassemble the universe. So the point I'm making is when people sit there and go, oh, they're going to restart, obviously, because they got the movies coming up. And I'm over here like, have you not read the source material? Yes, they're coming back. They kind of have to. It's based off of these comics.
Yeah, the only thing they're going to definitely change, I feel, because they've said multiple times Adam's not going to be until Guardians 3, and they're changing it a lot, is that Captain Marvel's probably going to take his spot and be the one that beats up Thanos.
And that's totally fine, because in comic books, Captain Marvel...
Yeah, and all honesty, with as many people as they got to stuff in that movie, I don't think it's the movie to introduce Adam in any way.
No.
I think it's
they
that's
didn't introduce
until
anybody
Guardians
else. And I
3.
kind of like how they went back to the main core groups.
Yeah, it is 3 hours and some change of essentially tying up everything that has happened in the last decade and some change.
Can I say one thing, though, that I wish Marvel had done?
As long as it's only the one thing.
Okay. So I kind of feel like it would have been really exciting to have held off like the Spider-Man trailer until after, like, at least Captain Marvel or anything like that, because it was like, okay, well, we know they're coming back. So it kind of like, it's like we already know what the end of it all is going to be. And so it's that kind of like,
I don't know. I feel like you should have known that they're coming back.
Also, Sony is the ones that did that.
I mean, it's like people who went into the movie and they're like,
remember going
wow,
to...
that wasn't a full movie. And they were like pissed off at the movie.
Yeah.
Away From Home is supposed to take place.
I was kind of in that camp. Because I got fortunate enough to go to the opening weekend at Seattle Cinerama last year, which was a lot of fun, where Tom Cruise's girlfriend broke my bow.
Oh, that's funny. She texted me about that when we were talking to you about your experiences. She texts me because, she's trying to stay silent to my son. She goes, I broke his bow.
oh my
My bow! But anyway, at the end of the film, like, it's the first showing. It's technically the second showing because they did a private showing before that for, I think it was Facebook or something like that. Anyway, some company. And, but yeah, it was like the first general release. And, like, the movie ends, and the whole theater, like, and Cinerama is freaking huge. There's a lot of people watching one film at one time, and it was dead silent. You could have dropped a pin. Nobody was speaking. Everybody was like, did that just happen? And I'm just sitting there angry because I already know that Spider-Man 2 is coming out, Black Panther 2 is coming out, and we already knew that Guardians 3 was coming out at that point. And so I'm like, what is going on? And I mean, and that means that happens, then they're going to end up being some sort of time travel element, which means, is that going to negate the last 10 years of movies we've been watching?
I mean, the X-Men have done it over and over and over again, so why the fuck not, right?
Yeah, but the X-Men movies have not really ever been that great.
But see, this ties into
Let's
something
be honest.
that kind of ticked me
I
off
mean,
about the whole
You got
notion.
Logan. Logan was good.
Yeah, this kind of ticked me off a little bit. People's reasoning was they can't just erase these guys. These guys made so much money in their previous films, and I'm over here like, that's your logic? That's your logic. You're not going to think for just a second about the storyline. Your logic is, but they made so much money, they have to capitalize it. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like,
Well, part of it is they have the people already signed up.
Contracted for so long, too.
Yeah, that's true.
They can't keep them forever.
Here versus Mark Ruffalo. I mean, the first Incredible Hulk movie, it did great. It really did.
That's because Edward Norton was like, I don't know if I want to do it again, and then they found Mark Ruffalo.
I was about to say,
Well,
did
he
you know,
wanted more
is
money,
everybody
and
just
then
gonna
everybody
ignore all the
hated
drama that
working with
happened
him
with that
because
movie?
he's a douchebag.
We tried to take
Yeah.
creative and directorial control of the next one.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
no, Edward Norton was wanting to rewrite Avengers.
Edward Norton's a douchebag, so he...
And unfortunately, with a franchise like this, if you have one of the actors trying to take that much control over it, they can actually ruin it for the rest of the actors.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yes, and if you don't have
I
contracts,
was
DC
perfectly
is
happy
teaching
with
us
that.
how that's not going to work.
Same thing with the same thing happened with the Mummy movie that came out not too long ago. Tom Cruise. Like that. It's like he basically like that could have been absolutely amazing. Like the premise was really great, and then you realize, oh, he was just in it for control, and you could see it.
Did you
Can we
mean
talk
every
about-
Tom Cruise movie ever?
Can we take a second? Can we take a second and love the fuck out of
Is he
Brendan
wrong?
Fraser and his social media
Where's
status?
the lie?
Because Brendan Fraser went out of his way to screenshot the fucking rating system they got out of his movie and how much he made, and then comment going, "If it ain't broke, don't try and fix it."
Yep.
Yep.
And then somebody else following right after that proceeded to take that scene with the Nile River. Hey, and they photoshopped Tom Cruise's face over Lenny's body and said, "Hey, Brendan, looks like I've got the new Mummy franchise." And then Brendan Fraser on the other side going, "Hey, Tom, looks like my movie's still better." And then Tom's just like, "Oh, shit." Like, yes. Anyway, that concludes.
Well, here's the thing. I think Tom Cruise kind of killed the franchise.
Yeah. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong,
I haven't seen
I
them.
enjoy watching the Mission Impossible movies because I enjoy seeing how he's going to punish himself on screen. But that's neither here nor there.
I also love how we're talking about Tom Cruise while screen name over here for our host Tom Cruise cosplay, because I just heard Tom Cruise ruined the franchise. I was like, wait, what? Oh, celebrity, right?
Yeah,
Still Tom Cruise.
I can't
The
wait
other Tom
to
Cruise.
listen to the first episode we did because I talked about my name and then I said that I can't wait for someone to just shout, "Oh my God, it's Tom
Yes, you have a
Cruise!"
glorious
and
spirit. Stop
and
playing
everyone just go, "Oh my God, what?" And Jake's going, "Fucking Emerald City Comic Con, that's gonna be me." I'm like, "Thank you, I love you."
Oh, it's definitely going to be Rose City.
Oh yeah, Rose City for sure. So, at any rate, that concludes tonight. I'm hungry as fuck. Thank you all for joining. Please donate to the Kickstarter for Spider-Man 4 and stay tuned as we talk about the Avengers on next week's episode. I am Tom Cruise Cosplay. With me as always, Single Dad,
Good night, everybody.
Jake Borer,
Toodles.
Good Talk, Cosplay Enemy,
See ya.
Mayan Goddess.
Bye.
Thank you for coming on, Bryn.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Have a great week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Later.